be afraid. We are in town making a movie.
Well, hello, Clarice.
And we would like you to be in it.
Welcome to the Great Godfather audition.
We go out, we find the untapped talent in America.
Small Shots. This was a comedy reality show that aired on TNN in the early 2000s. For those that don't know, TNN was an early name for Spike TV, which isn't even called Spike TV anymore. The premise was that the creators would go to random towns and get people off the street and get them to act in parody skits with punny names, such as Silence of the Yams and Jurassic Dog Park. The first season aired in a short span in 2001, and the second season, consisting of only 4 episodes, took almost an entire year to air between 2002 and 2003. Currently, no episodes of the show are available, and screenshots are hard to come by. The intro is still viewable on Vimeo, and there does exist a promo, but these are the only materials to surface from this show. Beavis and Butthead Do Hollywood. This game, during development, repeatedly changed names, but the title I just said is the most common one it goes by on the internet. GT Interactive and New Level Software planned and developed this game using the 2 titular Mike Judge characters for a 1999 release on the PS1. This game was previewed at E3 1998, and from the demo footage captured there, the game would involve controlling characters in a 3D environment. Quite ambitious for a licensed game at the time. The game was to originally be released in November of that year, which came and went with no release. After conflicting reports in magazines, more information came out about the gameplay and puzzles within, but the release was delayed to February of 1999. That date passed by eventually with no news of any kind of release. It's unknown why the game was in such a state of flux. No materials besides a few screenshots and some footage of the E3 demo have been revealed.
If a major motion picture was ever made to be a video game, it has to be The Terminator. In fact, when you really look at it, it's a video game of sorts already, with human heroes pitted against a monstrous mechanical enemy, a nail-biting plotline, and a non-stop manic chase through every part of the city.
The Terminator NES game. In 1988, development began for an NES game based on the movie Terminator, and the developer, Sunsoft, were instructed to follow the plot of the movie as closely as possible, meaning, for example, that the T-800 was the only enemy in the game. Because of this, the gameplay was to be similar to the 80s arcade game Dragon's Lair, with obviously less graphical capability due to the hardware limitations of the NES. Eventually, the game restarted development midway through, but due to time and money constraints, the Terminator concept was scrapped, and was instead turned into an original IP. As of now, a playable version of the game isn't publicly available, however some advertisements have survived, as well as the promotional video you just saw a clip of. Toontown Online. From 2003 to 2013, there existed a Disney MMO entitled Toontown Online. The game was somewhat popular, but obviously, many of its assets since its closure have been lost. Recreations of the game have been made with many of the assets that are out there, but complete sets of them have not surfaced. The beta files and even a beta client for the game have been slowly leaked by members of the community, but even direct contact with the original lead developer has not been fruitful. Complicating this is that there are version differences between the different localizations of the game, as depending on where you're from, the files to the game could be different. This presents a problem in the search as it is a lot larger than would seem at first glance. More and more leaks could happen in the future, but the search seems to have gone cold in the last couple of years. Watching Ellie. In episode 12, I mentioned a show called Bob Patterson, which starred Jason Alexander, best known for his role of George on Seinfeld. Watching Ellie released on NBC around the same time with Julia Louis-Dreyfus and suffered similar obscurity. Despite a star-studded cast that also included Steve Carell, this sitcom never took off. It took some risks, such as having a single camera setup and a ticking clock at the bottom of the screen, which had been used in shows before, but not really in comedies. The ratings weren't great, and while most of the show's 2 seasons have been found, 3 unaired episodes from the first season are lost today. And with the lack of home media releases, or streaming releases for that matter, they're unlikely to be found by anyone except people who are involved with production or have connections with people who are involved in production. Nintendo Video. As the 3DS's online service has been shut down, much of what was available to view on the 3DS eShop is now lost. But I'm not even talking about select games that were never archived. I'm talking about exclusive videos that could only be viewed through buying an application on the 3DS. In 2011, Nintendo Video was an application that could be downloaded onto a user's 3DS through SpotPass. It was kind of a lame app in terms of features. For one, you had to download each video to view it, and you could only store 4 videos on your 3DS at a time. Eventually, Nintendo finally came to their senses and discontinued Nintendo Video in 2015, migrating the viewable videos over to the eShop where they could be viewed directly. Since the 3DS eShop's demise, these videos are now lost.
Hey, welcome to the Super Big Product Fun Show, folks. We're the guys who try it before you buy it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we got a ton of sick products to test out on this very Ow! Dude, what are you stepping on my kicks for?
Super Big Product Fun Show. Nearing the end of G4's original run, the show started to be less and less about video games, which was the original purpose of the channel. One of the shows with a more out-there concept, released in the late 2000s, was the Super Big Product Fun Show. This show reminds me more of a crudely produced YouTube video in the late 2000s than something that would air on network television, and that is not a compliment. It's probably why it didn't have much success, though. It essentially consisted of comedic redubbings of Japanese variety shows and didn't offer much else. It was likely cheap to produce, so even if it flopped, the network wouldn't lose much. Most of the 26 episodes of this show are completely lost, with only a few short clips on the internet today. Even if the episodes that aired were all found, it would still be an uphill battle to find the entire series, as 10 of the episodes never aired due to the series cancellation before the show finished. To Be a Millionaire Lost UK episodes. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is a game show that needs no introduction. It started out in the UK exactly 3 years before I was born, to the day, and on the exact same day as Google's creation. Several episodes of the British version are missing to this day for various reasons. Quickly going through the notable ones, Season 9 Episode 29 has about 2 minutes available on YouTube and that's it, and it features a couple who was misled by the audience on only the 5th question. The Season 10 premiere, featuring stars of Coronation Street, is lost. Season 13 Episode 10 is lost and features a contestant for which his winnings were unknown, as only the first part of his game has survived. Season 15 Episode 4 is lost and features a contestant who was brought back 2 episodes after his show ended, and not in the next consecutive episode for some reason. And Season 19 Episode 1 is lost with no information currently available. It's unknown why these specific episodes fell through the cracks and became lost, but an official release of any of them is unlikely. Please Don't Stop. In episode 11, the video I did with Mike from All Things Lost, I mentioned a song that played in a Malibu video ad that no one was able to identify. Since making that video, more of the song has been found, and in fact, a lot of it had been found anyway since a good chunk of the song was used in the ad. The sexual sounding tone of the song led many people down that rabbit hole, and eventually, the song was found to be used in a 1986 porno film with the same title as the song. And it figures that the group that recorded the song would also have a very suggestive name, being called Aladdin's Magic Rub. Very anticlimactic, but I know I wouldn't hear the end of it if I neglected to talk about this song again, so yeah, more info has been found. However, we don't know if what we have currently is the full song or not. Pokemon Pink version. It's widely known that in the original Pokemon TV show, Ash was originally to have Clefairy as his starting Pokemon instead of Pikachu. And since there was a video game tie-in released after the success of the show, it's possible that some of this inspiration was originally going to appear in that as well. There is some evidence to suggest this. The phrase Pocket Monsters Pink and Yellow appears in the source code to Pokemon Yellow, suggesting that the release of Pokemon Yellow was to include 2 games instead of just 1. It's unknown what the plans were for marketing, or if Pokemon Pink was only ever in the concept stage, as this evidence wasn't even known until the 2020 GigaLeak. There's no concrete confirmation that a Pokemon Pink version was ever developed, and as such, no materials have surfaced, and no materials likely ever will surface.